Kevin Stefanski didn't just make a coaching decision. He lit a firestorm. The moment he announced that Shedeur Sanders wouldn't even be considered as a backup quarterback, the entire league erupted. Fans, analysts, and even former players were left questioning whether this was football strategy or something far more political. And in Cleveland, where chaos seems to be the only consistent thing, that question cuts deep. Shedeur Sanders was never supposed to be a controversy. A fifth-round pick, a rookie, a player meant to learn and develop quietly behind veterans. But that's not how it played out. His talent and confidence, paired with his name recognition, turned him into an overnight sensation. Fans fell in love. Social media exploded. Suddenly, Sanders wasn't just a rookie, he was the story. And that's when things got complicated.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Stefanski's choice to keep Joe Flacco ahead of Sanders might make sense on paper, but the optics are disastrous. The decision comes off less like a tactical move and more like an attempt to control the narrative. When Stefanski doubled down publicly, insisting Sanders wasn't being considered for the number 2 spot, the message was loud and clear. Cleveland wanted the spotlight back on the team, not the rookie who had already stolen it. Critics didn't hold back. Cam Newton called it out first, arguing that the Browns were trying to dim Sanders' momentum before it could fully ignite. Then came Stephen A. Smith, whose take went even further, accusing the organization of narrative management rather than honest football judgment. Both pointed to the same problem: Cleveland's obsession with control. Behind the scenes, the tension is palpable. Sanders, never one to bite his tongue, has made it clear he's ready. He believes he can outplay the starters. He said as much publicly, adding even more fuel to the fire. His frustration isn't hidden, it's focused. He's waiting for a chance and everyone knows it. The Browns, on the other hand, are dealing with an optics nightmare. Fans are louder than ever, demanding Sanders get a shot. Every game the offense struggles, the calls grow stronger. Every press conference, the pressure builds. And the more Stefanski resists, the more it looks like fear, not football, is dictating decisions. This isn't just a quarterback controversy, it's a power struggle. Between talent and politics. Between fan demand and institutional control. Between a player who's ready to rise and a coach trying to contain the narrative. Shedeur Sanders' story has become bigger than the depth chart. It's now about what happens when a team tries to manage a phenomenon instead of embracing it. Stefanski may believe he's maintaining order, but right now, all he's done is prove that sometimes, the hardest thing to control isn't the game plan, it's the story. So let's get this straight. You've got a rookie quarterback with one of the most hyped fan followings in recent memory, already more popular than some starters, and the Cleveland Browns decide to bury him behind Joe Flacco? And then, just to make it worse, head coach Kevin Stefanski flat out says he's not even being considered as a backup? You're telling us that Shedeur Sanders, the guy lighting up training footage and dominating conversations on sports shows, is riding the bench without a chance? That's not just a red flag, it's a whole parade of them. This isn't your typical rookie development timeline. This is shaping up to be a full-blown NFL controversy. Let's rewind for a second. Shedeur Sanders, son of NFL legend and college football disruptor Deion Sanders, was drafted 144th overall, 5th round for those keeping score at home. A lot of analysts were already raising eyebrows at how far he fell in the draft, with more than a few whispers about politics and perception doing more damage than his game tape ever could. Now you've got a quarterback with a proven track record of high-pressure play, a massive fanbase that's following him from Colorado to Cleveland, and one of the most unique marketable personas in the league, and the Browns say nah, sit tight behind 39-year-old Joe Flacco? That decision by Stefanski didn't just raise questions. It launched them into orbit. And Stefanski didn't exactly do himself any favors with his delivery. Instead of keeping things vague or diplomatic, he made it crystal clear. Shedeur isn't in the backup conversation. Not even competing for it. That alone turned a simmering situation into a boiling one. Because let's be real, how often do you hear coaches slam the door that hard on a rookie with this much attention? Normally it's all about earning reps, or developing behind veterans. But this wasn't that. This was a straight-up block. And people noticed. Former NFL MVP Cam Newton didn't hold back. He came right out and questioned the entire setup, zeroing in on Shedeur's rare fan support. According to Newton, what Shedeur has isn't normal. Most third-string QBs aren't trending topics. They don't sell jerseys. They don't have entire fan bases pushing for them to start. Shedeur does. And that kind of energy isn't something you just silence without backlash. Enter Stephen A. Smith, who saw this for what it probably is: narrative control. Smith didn't just question the football logic, he called out the possibility that this is about managing attention, not managing games. He pointed out that the Browns seem more focused on quieting the hype than riding it. And according to him, that's exactly why the pressure is only going to get louder. Here's the thing, Smith's not wrong. We've seen this pattern before. A rookie gets too hot too fast. The attention shifts away from the veterans. The media focuses on one player 24/7. And instead of embracing it, the team tries to shut it down. They tell fans to wait. They tell the player to be patient. They claim it's about the team. But eventually, when the offense sputters and the crowd starts chanting, the pressure becomes unavoidable. That's where this is heading. And if you think Shedeur's just waiting quietly, think again. He's made it clear he's frustrated. He's confident. He believes he can outplay current starters. Not just in Cleveland. Across the league. He's saying the quiet part out loud. He's ready. And he wants a shot. So let's talk about what's really going on. There's no denying that Shedeur's draft position, 144th overall, was influenced by factors that had nothing to do with his skill set. Critics say he was punished for his last name for having Deion Sanders in his corner. Nepotism allegations. Media distractions. Too flashy. Too confident. Whatever you want to call it, it clearly followed him into the league. And now it feels like that stigma is still controlling the narrative. That somehow he's not being taken seriously because of how he got here, not what he can do. And that's what's driving this entire controversy. Because talent is one thing. But momentum? That's what makes this different. This isn't just about a promising rookie. This is about a guy whose rise is making people uncomfortable. A guy whose name, image, and reputation are bigger than the role he's been given. And the Browns, whether consciously or not, are trying to slow that roll. But here's the problem with trying to hold back a wave. It crashes eventually. Fans aren't having it. The support for Shedeur is growing by the day. It's not just Colorado fans following him to the NFL. It's national now. He's got viral traction. He's got every sports show bringing up his name, even if he hasn't played a single down in a regular season game. That doesn't happen by accident. That kind of support forces teams to make uncomfortable decisions. And the Browns? They're about to feel that heat. Because if Joe Flacco has even one rough stretch, the noise is going to get deafening. Every incomplete pass? Shedeur's name will be trending. Every loss? Fans will demand answers. Every press conference? Stefanski will get asked why a potential game-changer is sitting on the sidelines. And you know what? At some point he won't have a good answer. Because saying he's not ready won't cut it when the backup isn't delivering. Saying he needs time won't hold up when the offense is stalling. Eventually it's going to look less like a strategy and more like sabotage. And let's not forget the bigger picture here. This isn't just about Cleveland. It's about how the NFL treats rookies who don't fit the traditional mold. Shedeur Sanders is marketable, confident, connected, and loud. He breaks the mold of a typical late-round QB. He doesn't shrink in the spotlight, he owns it. And that makes people nervous. The question is, why? Why is there always resistance when a new player brings something different to the table? Why do teams feel the need to control the narrative instead of leaning into the hype? Is it really about football? Or is it about maintaining the power structure? Because let's be honest, if Shedeur had gone first round, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He'd be getting every opportunity to succeed. But because he didn't, he's being treated like he needs to stay in his lane. The only problem? He never agreed to that. And neither did the fans. We're watching a power struggle in real time, between a team trying to maintain order, and a player whose brand is bigger than their system. And at some point, one of them is going to have to bend. The Browns have a choice to make: double down on control, or give in to the pressure and see what Shedeur can do. Because whether they like it or not, this isn't going away. The media's not moving on. The fans aren't quieting down. And Shedeur sure as hell isn't backing off. This controversy is only going to grow until someone makes a move. And if the Browns don't, the noise might just swallow them whole. In a league where public perception can change the course of a season, Shedeur Sanders might be the rare player who forces an organization to reckon with more than just stats. He's forcing them to answer for how they evaluate talent, how they manage influence, and whether they're willing to embrace change, or keep pretending it doesn't exist. At the end of the day, this isn't just about a quarterback. It's about power. And right now, the Browns are holding on tight. But for how long? If Shedeur Sanders finally gets that chance, and you know he will, it's going to be one of the biggest "we told you so" moments in recent memory. And if the Browns wait too long, they may end up on the wrong side of NFL history. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Stefanski is playing chess or just protecting the status quo? Should Shedeur be QB2 or QB1? And if the fans keep pushing, how long until the Browns crack? Make sure to subscribe for more breakdowns of the wildest drama in sports, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next meltdown. So let's talk about what the Browns say this is about: strategy. That's the go-to line whenever a decision looks sketchy on the surface. Stefanski and the front office will tell you that choosing Joe Flacco as the backup is about experience, reliability, and leadership. And sure, Flacco is a veteran. He's played in Super Bowls. He knows how to manage a locker room. That's not up for debate. But the question isn't whether Flacco has credentials. The question is, are those credentials still relevant in 2025? Because while Flacco might have been a safe pair of hands once upon a time, the NFL has shifted. It's faster. It's louder. It rewards quarterbacks who can extend plays, create under pressure, and shift momentum with a single highlight. In other words, quarterbacks like Shedeur. And even if you're not ready to throw Shedeur into a starting role immediately, how does he not even crack the backup spot? That's what's setting off alarms. When a fifth-round rookie starts pulling in national support, jersey sales, and highlight reels, and still gets told to wait his turn, it sends a message. Not just to Shedeur, but to every player in the league watching this unfold. The message? That hype is a threat. That attention is a problem. That if you don't know your place, you're going to get benched no matter what you bring to the table. And that's the real controversy. Because this isn't just about quarterback depth charts. This is about how NFL teams handle rising stars who challenge the status quo. It's about narrative management, power dynamics, and control. Let's not forget, Shedeur didn't ask for this spotlight. He earned it. At Colorado, he played under intense pressure with cameras in his face, critics waiting to pounce, and millions tuning in every Saturday. And he delivered. He was composed. Clutch. Electric. Now, in Cleveland, it seems like that same spotlight is being treated as a liability. And it's not just the fans calling it out. Cam Newton didn't mince words. He basically said what everyone was thinking. Shedeur's popularity is rare, and that makes people nervous. Newton, who knows what it's like to be a young, charismatic quarterback with a spotlight, called out the unfairness head-on. And Stephen A. Smith? He added gasoline to the fire. Smith's theory? The Browns aren't just making a football decision. They're trying to shut down the noise. They don't want a media circus. They don't want QB controversy. They don't want distractions. So instead of managing the momentum, they're trying to mute it. And that strategy almost never works. Let's be real, the NFL thrives on storylines. Teams who lean into that energy, who build around it, tend to benefit. The ones who try to fight it, they end up scrambling to catch up when the pressure gets too loud. Which brings us back to the fans. Because if there's one thing this saga has proven, it's that fan power still matters. You don't get a third-string quarterback trending without serious public support. You don't get former MVPs and top analysts riding for you unless there's something real there. And that growing fan base isn't going to sit quietly while Shedeur rides the bench. Every game he doesn't suit up is going to feel like wasted potential. Every time Flacco laces up instead is going to be another chance for the firestorm to grow. Even if the Browns are winning, this controversy won't die. Why? Because this is bigger than the scoreboard. This is about access, opportunity, and fairness. About what it means to earn your spot in a league that claims to be a meritocracy, but so often bows to politics, perception, and comfort. You've got a quarterback who's publicly said he's ready, who's openly challenging the idea that he needs to sit and wait, who's watched less acclaimed rookies get chances ahead of him, and all he's asking for is a shot. And when he doesn't get it, it's hard not to question the motives. Is this really about development? Or is it about control? Because at some point it's not just about Stefanski anymore. It's about the culture being created in that locker room. One where rising stars are told to quiet down. Where confidence is seen as cocky. Where fans are told their opinions don't matter. And when that kind of culture starts to rot, it spreads fast. It's not hard to imagine veterans getting frustrated. Not hard to picture other players watching how Shedeur is treated and wondering what their own ceiling really is. If he can't break through, what hope does anyone else have? The Browns are sitting on a ticking PR time bomb. One that gets louder with every missed opportunity, every conservative play call, every excuse. And when it finally explodes, don't say you didn't see it coming. Let's not pretend this is just about on-field performance. It's about perception, power, and yes, ego. Stefanski might say it's not personal, But when you publicly deny a player even the possibility of advancement, that sends a message louder than any stat sheet. You're not just benching a player. You're trying to bench his influence. But here's the catch, that never works long-term. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback. He's a brand. A movement. A symbol of what the new era of athletes looks like. Confident, media-savvy, unapologetically ambitious. You can't mute that energy forever. And if the Browns keep trying, they might just find themselves on the wrong side of history. So where does this go from here? It depends. If Shedeur keeps pushing, and the fans keep demanding, it's going to be hard for the Browns to hold the line. At some point, the narrative becomes too big to ignore. And when that happens, you better believe every snap will be under the microscope. Every Flacco mistake? A headline. Every Stefanski press conference? A grilling. Every Shedeur tweet? A movement. We're watching a team try to fight the future. And the future is already in their locker room. So what's it going to be, Cleveland? Double down on hierarchy? Or open the door for the most talked about third-string QB in the league to prove everyone wrong? Because if you don't, someone else will. You've got a quarterback who's practically dragging a fan base behind him like a parade float, and instead of using that energy, the Browns decide to shove it in a closet. And what's wild is they're doing it openly. Like Stefanski didn't even try to spin it. No, we're evaluating all options. No, we'll let competition decide. Just a hard stop. Shedeur is not being considered for backup. That's not a decision. That's a statement. And it was heard loud and clear. Because that kind of dismissal? It cuts deeper than just where a player sits on the depth chart. It tells everyone watching, from fans to analysts to other players in that locker room, that the rules are different depending on who you are. That if you come in with too much heat, too much name value, or too much spotlight, you're not going to be welcomed. You're going to be managed, controlled, silenced. That's what this is really about. Not football. Not readiness. Not even draft value. It's about who gets to control the story. And right now, Shedeur's story is being rewritten before it even gets started. Because here's the part that keeps getting lost in all the noise. This kid can play. He's not just a media darling. He's not just Dion's son. He's got the skills, the presence, the composure. Ask anyone who actually watched him play at Colorado. Pressure situations? He didn't flinch. Fourth quarter? He came alive. Cameras on him? He thrived. And now we're supposed to believe he's not even worthy of being a backup behind a journeyman quarterback on the tail end of his career? Come on. It's like the Browns are trying to convince us that fire is too dangerous to use, so they're sticking with candles. And then acting surprised when the room stays cold. Meanwhile, the media circus they're trying to avoid? It's already pitched its tent. You've got Cam Newton calling them out for trying to dim Shedeur's spotlight. Stephen A. pointing out that it's not strategy, it's suppression. And fans? They're not just watching anymore. They're mobilizing, chanting, commenting, showing up. Every time the Browns post anything on social media, it's flooded with free Shedeur. That's not a trend. That's a warning shot. And you can feel the tension building. One interception from Flacco. One injury scare. One game where the offense stalls out for 3 quarters. That's all it's going to take for this situation to explode. Because you know what's worse than controversy? Controversy that you created by refusing to acknowledge reality. The Browns didn't have to put themselves in this position. They could have just kept it open-ended. Said Shedeur was progressing. Let him compete. They didn't even have to play him yet. Just give the illusion that he had a shot. But no, they slammed the door. Locked it. And then told everyone to stop knocking. Which naturally made everyone knock louder. And here's what's really dangerous. Once players start speaking out, once fans start rallying, once commentators smell blood, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. It snowballs. Fast. What starts as, why isn't Shedeur playing? Turns into, what's going on with Stefanski? Then, is the front office too political? Then, is this team toxic? And suddenly your third-string QB controversy has turned into a full-blown identity crisis. And you know who's watching all this very closely? Other teams. Because you can bet there are organizations who would love to have Shedeur, who would lean into the media coverage, who would build marketing campaigns and fan engagement strategies around him, who would at the very least let him battle for a backup spot. And if the Browns don't wake up, they're going to lose him. Maybe not today. Maybe not this season. But if Shedeur keeps getting buried and another team offers him daylight, that move writes itself. And when he pops off somewhere else, you already know how the headlines are going to look. Browns fumble future star QB. Stefanski's biggest regret. ignoring Shedeur Sanders. And the worst part? All of it could have been avoided. Because at the heart of it, this isn't complicated. It's about a team making a choice: protect the old system or embrace the new one. Joe Flacco represents comfort, familiarity, the safe choice. Shedeur Sanders represents disruption, risk, and the future. And the Browns are terrified of the future. But guess what? You can't outrun it. Eventually it finds you. And in this case, it's already wearing a jersey, sitting on the bench, and waiting for someone to wake up. Because here's what people forget: NFL fans are no longer passive. They're not just watching games. They're watching everything. Pressers, interviews, depth charts, social engagement. Every move the team makes is under surveillance. And when something doesn't add up, they don't stay quiet. They turn it into a campaign. And Shedeur's got the kind of campaign most players dream of. This isn't just noise. It's a movement. And the longer the Browns ignore it, the more damage they're doing to their own credibility, to locker room morale, and to Shedeur's trajectory. Because it's not about whether he's ready or not. It's about whether the team even wants to see what he's capable of. And right now, that answer looks like a no. Which is exactly why fans are getting louder. Why analysts are getting bolder. Why this storyline isn't dying down, it's heating up. Because when talent, confidence, and fan demand all collide, and a team still says, "Wait your turn," that's no longer a football decision. That's ego. And we all know how that ends. Eventually, Shedeur is going to get his shot. Whether it's in Cleveland or not remains to be seen. But when he does, the receipts will be brutal. And the Browns better hope they're not the ones holding them. So now it's your turn. Drop a comment below. Should Shedeur be QB2 right now? Are the Browns playing scared? And what happens if the pressure keeps building? Make sure you're subscribed, because this saga isn't going anywhere. And trust, when the moment finally comes, we'll be here for the meltdown.